When you play the Game of Thrones, you
Subscribe and like.
or you die. There is no middle ground.
Alright, hello YouTube, and welcome back to the Grease Goblins YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about who really was the Knight of the Laughing Tree and what really went on there. This is kind of really referenced in Bran, page about 341 in that chapter in A Storm of Swords. So if you wanted to follow along or kind of go through that chapter, it is there. But before we get into the video, if you guys would like, subscribe, and comment for more of these type of videos, please do. It helps, this channel reach other people that might like it as well. And let's get into it. So we start the story off with kind of Mira and Jojen kind of telling the tale of the Knight of the Laughing Tree. This was a Crannig man. He was very, small in stature, and this is kind of what we assume to be Howland Reed. Now, with this being said, I think we have a lot of information back up that this is Howland Reed, why the Reeds would know the story so well, and it would also make sense to why Howland was able to meet the Starks and all that. And basically, we get this long tale where Howland kind of wants to be in this tournament, right? And this is the tournament at Harrenhal. So this was kind of a really big tournament because this is where we see Rhaegar give the flower basically to Lyanna, and where kind of the tension between the Targaryens and Starks kind of starts, as well as the rest of the realm. But the big point we're going to, fix on within this tournament is who is the Knight of the Laughing Tree. Now, Jojen and Mira believe that this was the Crannig man, Howland Reed, which it isn't. And we're going to talk about that, kind of getting into it, but there's kind of some stuff we need to talk about before that. So Jojen gets there and he is kind of verbally abused and assaulted. Not assault. Well, they try to beat on him basically. And more or less, this is by a Frey and two minor, houses. And these three kind of squire guys are kind of just saying he shouldn't be there and that he's not a good guy or whatever. And we know that a she-wolf came up to this group and kind of helped Howland. Now, who would this be? Right? A she-wolf, the wolf refers to the Starks. She-wolf at this point would have been Lyanna. So with this being said, Lyanna then invites Howland Reed to kind of be with her family and all that. And she meets two notable characters in the Quiet Wolf, which is Ned, and the kind of Loud Wolf. I'm forgetting the nickname they give, but it's Brandon Stark. And that's kind of where we meet some of these characters. We see that the Quiet Wolf dances with Ashara, and we also spy that these three squires that had been bullying Howland. And now this is where it's a key point, right? Because to know who the identity of the Knight of the Laughing Tree, we have to put together who knew about these three squires. Because in the tournament that will be held, this person has three main people that they are trying to beat. And it's all the people that went against Howland. So the people that would have possibly known about this would have been Lyanna, Howland, Ned, and possibly Brandon. But then the problem we get to even further is when we get to the description of the Knight of the Laughing Tree, they're very kind of shorter in stature. They're not big like Brandon would have been. It wasn't Ned. Ned was grown at this point. He not considered small. So I think it leaves two options then. Was it Howland himself, which at this point I don't think makes a lot of sense because Howland also had sustained a few injuries. I think the clear person it points to is Lyanna. Now, Lyanna, for one, was always a good horseman. We know that through multiple sources, especially with Ned. But we also know that Lyanna was someone that would stick up for people like she did for Howland already. So I think the foreshadowing of her kind of saving Howland once would definitely play into her trying to avenge Howland and defeating these squires. What we also get is that Rhaegar was the person that was sent out to find out who the Knight of the Laughing Tree was. And Rhaegar never finds the person, but they find the shield. That's what he says. Right? So Rhaegar finds the shield, or so he says. Now, I think for me, this is where Rhaegar meets Lyanna. I think they meet under this tree, and this is their big first interaction. Right? And I think Rhaegar keeps this secret, right? And I think this is where he gets kind of infatuated with Lyanna into making her, his new woman or whatever. In this universe, probably Ho, because he was trying to get another kid, and his wife couldn't have another kid. I don't think he truly loved Lyanna, but that's just my opinion. And then another thing we point to of why the Starks were definitely involved with the Night of the Laughing Tree is that Bran had never heard the story before. It was a story that was kept very well secret. Bran had not heard this before. This was completely new to him. It's something that doesn't make a lot of sense if this was something that there was nothing to hide, because Ned would have known about the story, especially because Lyanna is so close to the Krennic man, especially early on in this story of the Night of the Laughing Tree. I think this, to me, it's very influential because a lot of things happen during Harrenhal. It's a very important event, but I think this is the key one. I think Lyanna and Rhaegar meet. I think that is the big reason the story is impactful and why it's told in general. Because I think the telling of the story it has to serve a purpose. George wouldn't just make up this story just to kind of have Howland Reed look cool or something. This to me definitely is a point where we can theorize that Lyanna met Rhaegar, and that's how, you know, the Robert's Rebellion stuff eventually did end up happening. Another thing I wanted to put into this theory is that we know the booming voice, it most likely was not the person's real voice. They were using some sort of voice, something like that, or using the helmet to conceal their voice, which is key, because Lyanna as a woman would definitely want to do that, right? If it was just somebody that was maybe, you know, younger, they wouldn't do that. It wouldn't make any sense to. I think that's a big key giveaway for that being Lyanna. And the second thing is the kind of reference to the old gods with like the werewoods. So to me, that is all my evidence for this theory. So if you guys disagree with me on that, let me know. If you guys have other theories or input into this theory as well, let me know in the comments, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Bye, guys.
If you think this has a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention.